Hi, happy you're here. Get comfy and let's get started. Sit at My Grave, Season 2, Chapter 1. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up! Arden sat up in a cold sweat, his white t-shirt clinging to his body, his chest heaving up and down. Short, sharp breaths were causing him to feel lightheaded. He allowed himself to collapse back onto his pillow as he tried to focus and calm his breathing down. After what felt like hours, he finally calmed, and the rapid whisperings in his head stopped. He couldn't quite make out what they were saying. It was like a quiet scratching in his brain that made him unfocused and caused anxiety to build up. Arden stared up at the ceiling, watching his fan blade spin. He needed to get up. Slowly, Arden dragged himself out of bed, his sheets still lightly damp from sweat. The last few nights had been like that. His rest was always uneasy until finally it was harshly broken, causing him to jolt up with a foreboding unease that made him sick. Arden trudged across his room. His body felt heavy, due to the thoughts on his mind. He ran his clammy fingers through his disheveled hair, lightly nudging dirty clothes across his floor as he moved towards the bathroom. Warm water rushed out of the faucet. Arden cupped his hands under it. He took in a deep breath before leaning down, running it across his face. He did that several times, eventually shutting the faucet off. He held onto the sides of the sink with either hand, keeping his head hung down, water droplets dripping off his face. Slowly, he raised his head up, finally looking at his reflection. He couldn't even make out his own expression these days. It had gotten harder and harder to look himself in the eyes. Any peace he once had was disgustingly disturbed all the time now. He gingerly placed his hand against the mirror. A few seconds into gazing at himself, he sighed and pushed away. The most sickening part was that when he couldn't stomach to look at himself, it was like he could see his brother's face staring back at him due to their similarities. Arden finished his routine getting ready for the day before walking out to their living room. Boxes had been piled around in corners. A lot of things they didn't use frequently were already packed up now. It was a bittersweet thing. This house Arden grew up in all his life held a lot of comfort, but at the same time, there were a lot of tragic moments that took place there. And even if he wouldn't have made the decision to leave it, he was glad his mother was doing something for herself. She needed healing, and hopefully this was a step in the right direction. Arden knew he didn't have much to offer to help her besides trying to hold his tongue about what she had decided anyways. A good bit of time had passed since everything transpired. When Arden thought back to how it all happened, it still didn't feel real to him, and what was even worse was, the nightmare wasn't over. "Hey, how did you sleep?" Rinley asked. She walked into the room holding a mug of coffee. However, even when she offered a smile, her face showed her weariness. "I slept fine," Arden said, sitting on the couch. He ran his hands over his face to his hair with a sigh. He turned, looking at Rinley, noticing her staring at an old family photo. They were at the park. Rinley in the picture was smiling, crouched down in the middle of reading Arden, holding him close to her. "What about you? Did you sleep well?" Arden ventured to question, after a bit of awkward silence crowded the room. Rinley shook her head a little, getting herself out of her daze. She looked at Arden once again, and put a smile on her face. It was pain, but it was there. "I haven't gotten much sleep lately. I guess I still subconsciously wait and think Reed's gonna come in and say goodnight or text it to me," Rinley answered honestly. They were undoubtedly close. She was used to his check-ins and all-around help he offered her. The comfort it brought after the trauma they both endured was something she depended on for a long time. Arden cleared his throat, standing up. As much as he felt uncomfortable and unsure of what to say, he remembered his promise to himself, and the one he was silently making to his brother, now that he saw with each passing day what a hole his absence was leaving. He walked over to Rinley, wanting to offer her some type of ease. "I miss him too." The words stumbled over Arden's lips. It was a lame attempt of consoling, trying to relate to her grief. The statement was true, but somehow Arden felt like a fraud saying it out loud. He put his arm around Rinley, but he couldn't think of what else to say. She stared at him, a little shocked, but her expression softened as she hugged Arden. They stayed that way for a moment, Rinley being the first to pull away. With a sigh, she walked further into the room. "Well, There's still plenty to do. I want to hurry and pack these boxes up before the movers get here, Riley said, quickly wiping her eye. She got her mind back focused on work, while Arden made a step forward to help her, but his body seized briefly, his head pounding with a familiar ache. Ever since his visit to Reed's grave and his deal with Josiah, Arden was noticing these headaches more frequently, as well as the subtle unsettling thoughts in his head. He wasn't fully aware of the work he agreed to, and even though he was determined to do whatever it took, he couldn't stop the anxiety that built in him as the clocks ticked forward. He was told he would receive what was required to carry out what he needed to do, but he wasn't entirely sure when or how. Was he supposed to be patient and wait? Or was it his fault and there was more he needed to stop and focus on that he was trying to hide from unknowingly? "Honey, is everything alright?" Riley asked gently. She placed a soft hold on Arden's arm, concern already rising in her. She frowned, noticing how he abruptly paused. "I was just thinking about visiting Gallon." Arden quickly tried to cover up his odd behavior, doing his best not to worry Rinley. "Oh, okay. You should visit him. He's been trying to catch you all summer," Rinley joked. Arden smirked a bit before walking over to continue helping with the boxes. "I will, after we finish up here a little," Arden told her. Rinley gave him a gentle smile of thanks. Although she didn't want to force him, she did appreciate Arden trying to be so helpful lately. And truthfully, it was a very taxing thing on her to have to pack up all hers and her family's belongings in that house, each of them digging up some type of memory.